All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Team Spence in the person of Derrick James responding to Bernard Hopkins, and specifically the claims that Errol Spence Jr. faked an eye injury and calling the whole thing asinine. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Before I get into the subject matter of the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, hit the like button, share the video. It would be greatly appreciated, helps the channel grow. All right, let's talk about it. This is one of the more annoying conversations that have gone on, but since I did all of the cheating videos about Deontay Wilder, I figured that I might do an occasional video here talking about something that is similar, which is accusations that Errol Spence Jr. faked a retina issue, a torn retina. We'll talk about that also. A torn retina. They faked a torn retina in order to get out of the fight with Manny Pacquiao. Now, on face of it, it sounds really silly. And, it was like, come on, man, why would somebody do that? But more and more videos went out, more and more conversation happened about it. And then from me, just from left field, Bernard Hopkins got involved in it. And Bernard Hopkins said, yeah, there's something that seems really funny about you getting that eye injury right before the fight and it being just such a quick turnaround. Many people might think that there was something suspicious about that. So, maybe Errol Spence Jr. needs to show proof as far as, what happened and all of that stuff. So Bernard Hopkins did it, cut into it. So it gained in even more energy, and all the way to the point where Derrick James, who was going to see the Manny Pacquiao fight, I believe he was in Vegas, because there's videos of him crossing paths with Manny Pacquiao's team. I believe he's in Vegas, was pulled to the side by Fight Hype, and he was asked about the incident. And he said something that was really interesting. He tried to dance around the issue at first and kind of say, look, I don't know what Bernard Hopkins said. I don't know what Bernard Hopkins said. I'd have to hear what he said specifically. I don't want to da-da-da. But then he said, in the middle of it, he said, but people believe of others what they know to be true of themselves. And I'm paraphrasing there, right? They said people believe of others what they believe to be true of themselves. So if you believe that, if you're a sneaky person and you think somebody, and you're prone to telling lies and you're prone to making stuff up, then you would see that activity, you would see that in other people when you have some, when there's a situation where that's what you would have done, right? So in this scenario, if you're somebody that would fake like something happened to you in a big fight, and you would do, because I think that would fall under the definition of cowardly. I think that is safe to say that you're basically calling Errol Spence Jr. a coward, and not only a coward and a liar at the same time. That basically you would have to have those same cowardice tendencies or lying tendencies yourself to put that on Errol Spence Jr. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that about Bernard Hopkins, because I think Bernard Hopkins is obviously a great champion. He challenged and he fought a lot of really good fighters. There's some great fighters, some really good fighters. He didn't get some fights that I like to have seen. Would like to have seen what he could have done with James Toney, but I know that they might have been a little bit off in their timing when James Toney went up in weight. But still, Bernard Hopkins is a champ, but he have kind of sneaky ways. Who knows that? But that was the perception of Derrick James. Now, me personally, what I think about it is that it is an attempt by a lot of people to just have some type of moral victory over Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is a very, very popular fighter, and he's a very popular fighter in the black community specifically, and he's very outspoken in the black community, and not a lot of people really like that. And now, I'm sorry if I'm offending you by bringing that up in this particular video, but it is what it is. There's a lot of people out there that didn't like that, don't appreciate about Deontay Wilder. A lot of people don't appreciate that about Errol Spence Jr., and Errol Spence Jr. has a lot of detractors. So if you combine the detractors from Errol Spence Jr. with the fans of of Manny Pacquiao, you get a mixture of two things feeding on to each other, both designed to make the opponent of Manny Pacquiao look bad. Now, there's been a doctor that came out and talked about two things. I mean, as far as like the reality of the circumstances that the WBC has said that they've seen the medical records that everything was in order. Now, that's something, however, I'll tell you that they didn't say about Tyson Fury when Tyson Fury pulled out of that COVID-19 type of issue, which again is why I'm covering this issue. Just to be fair, if I'm going to cover the scandals from Tyson Fury, and then to do one on to do a few videos on somebody that I like in defense of them, I think is fair. But you didn't see that the WBC come out and say that about the COVID situation with Tyson Fury. So anyway, that as far as what we know is that he just had an eye injury and it's a torn retina. It's not a detached retina. And there's also reports out there that with people saying that that Errol Spence Jr.'s career is going to be over because of this fight and because of something that a doctor recommended that he didn't fight anymore. My understanding, I actually read the article that they're talking about, that people have been talking about, and that's not what it said. It pretty much said that, the difference between a torn retina, explain the difference between a torn retina and a detached retina, and that, pretty much that the retina, if you have compare an eyeball to an orange, that the retina is like that skin that's on the inside of the orange. So like at the back of it, and it helps the rest of the oxygen. It helps the rest of the eye get oxygen and all of that stuff. And so you can have like a tear on it, and versus you can have it all the way detached. And if you have a tear, then if you repair it with a tear, then you're less likely to get a detachment or to have some type of re-injury in that particular area, and that you might be susceptible to another tear in another area because of it, but not that particular tear would not expand. But there's a big difference. The meat of it was that there's a big difference between being in a detached retina and just a torn retina. So as far as the faking of the injury, I think that just on its face, that sounds silly, because why would you go into a fight and call for a fight, get the fight that you want, and then make up an excuse that is just so insane? I mean, if he wanted to make up some type of excuse, he could have used the excuse that everybody else was using, which, other people are using, which is, oh, I got COVID, and then have, oh, I got COVID a few days out from the fight. And then at least he knows that he wouldn't be damaging his reputation moving forward, where people are going to be thinking that, maybe his career is in jeopardy. So like the whole thing doesn't make sense. And I understand where Derrick James is coming from, but I don't necessarily think that applies to Bernard Hopkins. I think Bernard Hopkins might have just been curious, maybe being a little bit, inciting a little bit in the media. But I do believe what he had to say would be true about the broader group of people that keep trying to tear at Errol Spence Jr. with this particular conversation. So anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.